Hey guys, it's Caden. Welcome to another episode of the Get Prepped podcast, where we talk with voice actors, nonprofit leaders, and businesses from gonna be in the game. Get Prepped. Today we have someone who you might know from the hit game Five Nights at Freddy's Ultimate Custom Night and Special Delivery AR, the recently released one, Darren Roebuck. Thanks for coming on, Darren.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, my first question for you is, what's your favorite project you worked on so far and why?
Wow, favorite project and why? There's been so many. They fall into a lot of categories, so it's hard to pick one. But Five Nights at Freddy's was definitely one, even though I didn't realize it at the time. But it was the first one where I had significant fan engagement, and that kind of blew my mind because I didn't realize what I was getting into when I did the voice of Toy Freddy. And after it came out, and I'd kind of forgotten about the gig, honestly. It was just something that I did, and I liked the voice I made, and that was cool, and I moved on. And then, I don't know how long it was later, it might have been as long as a year, someone reached out to me on Facebook to ask me if I would sign their Toy Freddy bobblehead. And I was just like, huh? Fans? Merchandise? Like, I had no idea. So that was pretty amazing. That was actually a big step in my voice acting career. It was sort of like, it was a milestone that I really thought was going to be a long ways off, and it's really snuck up on me. Poco from Brawl Stars was also significant in a similar way, that I had never had an experience where, after doing an interview regarding that character, my Instagram blew up. It was kind of amazing to see all the fan engagement and interacting with all the people out there that play the games. You know, it's like, as a voice actor, you spend a lot of your time alone in a padded room, and you don't actually see who engages with your work. And to get that coming back to me was really extraordinary. So
It definitely sounds extraordinary.
Yeah, and so that's, as far as the video game world goes, those were certainly major milestones. But I work in a lot of categories in voiceover, so it's so each category sort of has its own. I could go on, but I'll keep it brief.
All right. My next question for you is, what drew you to the world of voice acting?
Well, talk about keeping it brief. My journey into voice acting actually takes this sort of long and twisting path. I've been a musician since I was a kid, and always fascinated with recording. So back in 2001, when I bought my house here, a big part of why I bought the house was to be able to put a studio in the basement to record music. And after playing in bands for some time, I'd started to get myself relatively well established. And back in like 2009 or so, I was playing the game Words with Friends on the phone, and it was connected with my Facebook account, and so I was just playing the person who was like next ranked above me on my list, and I didn't know who this woman was that I was playing, but we were, we played competitive games together, so we ended up playing kind of a lot, and eventually through the little chat area, we started conversing a little bit, and she mentioned that she had a pirate radio show. And I was like, oh, how cool, I'm in a band, maybe you can interview my band. And she said, okay. And so the singer of the band and I went on the show, and somewhere in the middle of that interview, I said something like, oh, I could do this. And the producer of the station said, we can make that happen. And they gave me a radio show. And for like the next year and a half, I did a Saturday morning like variety show. And people started to associate me with being on the mic at that point. And then someone said, hey, you can do voiceovers on this website and on that website. And I was like, I can? And since I already had the studio at home and the microphone and everything, and I did have some acting skills, I just said okay, and I jumped in and immediately started getting hired. So that was, I had always thought it was a cool idea, but never knew how to get into it. And then it just sort of found me really randomly.
Yeah, that's definitely an impressive story. Can you share a funny or challenging experience you had in the recording booth?
Oh, boy. You mean besides every day? Let's see. Well, funny, the very first gig I ever had as a voice actor, and it was one of those magic moments that made me know I was in the right place, but it was definitely funny because a Canadian metal band paid me $5 to say, prepare the syringe. And I thought that was hysterical. Other funny moments, you know, like getting to play characters, especially like Toy Freddy, where like when I was doing that audition, I was cracking myself up the whole time. Like all the stuff that didn't get sent off was me just making myself laugh. Like that's one of the best parts of the job. You know, people don't really realize a handful of things about voice acting, and one is that you make yourself laugh every day, which is really fun, and the other is that you learn a lot about a lot because your job is literally reading. And so depending on what type of project you're working on, you're learning about new technology, you're learning about whatever like e-learning project you might be working on or audiobook or something. So as far as like interesting things go, man, that's literally every day. It's hard to even pick one out. I'm sorry to be sort of avoiding your question, but it's like it's such an interesting job that these moments happen all the time.
It's definitely interesting. If you could lend your voice to any animated character, past or present, who would it be?
Wow. Anyone, past or present? Well, the first thing that popped into my head was Yosemite Sam. I always liked him. Mel Blanc was a total hero ever since I was a little kid. You know, at like 7 years old or something, I remember getting into an argument with my mom about whether or not Bugs Bunny was a real person. And I was very much insistent that he was. My mom was like, no, he's an animated character voiced by Mel Blanc. And I remember the next day watching cartoons and seeing voices by Mel Blanc and thinking, that's a cool job. And so I started really paying attention to his voices. And Yosemite Sam, just as a character, I just loved him. And then if there's a second one, it would probably be Foghorn Leghorn, the big chicken. Those would probably be the ones that if I could have done them, I would have felt like I had a worthwhile career.
Yeah, those are definitely classics.
Anyways,
sure. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much to Darren for coming on. If you guys want to see more interviews, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to check out the game Get Prepped when it comes out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.